Bores our pawb, it's Mr Slade here. Hope you're all okay and doing well at home. Croeso, welcome to Assembly on Thursday the 2nd of April. Now the 2nd of April is an important day, and it's an important day for a couple of reasons. One reason I'll explain later on, but the first reason that the 2nd of April is an important day is because it is International Children's Book Day. Now, it wasn't long ago that we celebrated World Book Day, and in lots of ways, International Children's Book Day is similar to World Book Day. But the difference is that today there's a focus on children's books and children's authors, children's writers, children's illustrators. And it's a chance to celebrate books that have been written, designed, and geared towards children and young people. Now, lots of the teachers have done bedtime stories on YouTube over the last month or so. And I know a lot of you have been following those stories and listening to those stories on the school YouTube channel. So I thought I would read a story to begin today's assembly. Now, when I first did the bedtime stories a couple of weeks ago, I read a story called The Gruffalo, which is one of the most famous children's books there is out there at the moment, I think. So I thought today I would read the follow-up, the sequel to that story, which is called The Gruffalo's Child. Now, The Gruffalo's Child is written by the same lady. It has the same author as The Gruffalo. It's written by a lady called Julia Donaldson, who's written lots of really, really good children's books. And it is illustrated by the same person too. It's illustrated by Axel Scheffler. So this is The Gruffalo's Child. The Gruffalo said, "No Gruffalo should ever set foot in the deep, dark wood." "Why not? Why not?" "Because if you do, the big bad mouse will be after you." "I met him once," said the Gruffalo. "I met him a long, long time ago." "What does he look like? Tell us, Dad." "Is he terribly big and terribly bad?" "I can't quite remember," the Gruffalo said. Then he thought for a minute and scratched his head. "The big bad mouse is terribly strong, and his scaly tail is terribly long. His eyes are like pools of terrible fire, and his terrible whiskers are tougher than wire." One snowy night, when the Gruffalo snored, the Gruffalo's child was feeling bored. The Gruffalo's child was feeling brave, so she tiptoed out of the Gruffalo cave. The snow fell fast, and the wind blew wild. Into the woods went the Gruffalo's child. "Aha! Oh-ho! A trail in the snow. Whose is this trail, and where does it go?" A tail poked out of a log pile house. Could this be the tail of the big bad mouse? Out slid the creature. His eyes were small, and he didn't have whiskers, no, none at all. "You're not the mouse." "Not I," said the snake. "He's down by the lake, eating Gruffalo cake." The snow fell fast, and the wind blew wild. "I'm not scared," said the Gruffalo's child. "Aha! Aho! Marks in the snow. Whose are these claw marks, and where do they go?" Two eyes gleamed out of a tree-top house. Could these be the eyes of the big bad mouse? Down flew the creature. His tail was short, and he didn't have whiskers of any sort. "You're not the mouse." "Too, not I." But he's somewhere nearby, eating Gruffalo pie. The snow fell fast, and the wind blew wild. "I'm not scared," said the Gruffalo's child. "Aha! Aho! A track in the snow. Whose is this track, and where does it go?" Whiskers at last, and an underground house. Could this be the home of the big bad mouse? Out slunk the creature. His eyes weren't fiery, his tail wasn't scaly, his whiskers weren't wiry. "You're not the mouse." "Oh no, not me." He's under a tree, drinking Gruffalo tea. "It's all a trick," said the Gruffalo's child, as she sat on a stump where the snow lay piled. I don't believe in the big bad mouse. But here comes a little one out of his house. Not big, not bad, but a mouse at least. You'll taste good as a midnight feast. Wait, said the mouse, before you eat, there's a friend of mine that you ought to meet. If you'll let me hop onto a hazel twig, I'll beckon my friend, so bad and so big. The Gruffalo's child enclenched her fist. The big bad mouse, so he must exist. The mouse hopped into the hazel tree. He beckoned, then said, just you wait and see. Out came the moon. It was bright and round. A terrible shadow fell on the ground. Who is this creature, so big, bad and strong? His tail and his whiskers are terribly long. His ears are enormous, and over his shoulders he carries a nut as big as a boulder. The big bad mouse, yelled the Gruffalo's child. The mouse jumped down from the twig and smiled. Aha, oh, prints in the snow. Whose are these footprints, and where do they go? The footprints led to the Gruffalo cave, where the Gruffalo's child was a bit less brave. The Gruffalo's child was a bit less bored, and the Gruffalo snored and snored and snored. The end. So I hope you enjoyed that, boys and girls. Now, earlier on I said that there were two reasons why the 2nd of April was an important date. The first reason was that today is International Children's Book Day. The second reason that the 2nd of April is an incredibly important date is because the 2nd of April every year is also National Autism Awareness Day. Now, I'm sure autism is a word that some of you may have heard, some of you may not have. Some of you may think you know what it means, some of you may not have any idea what it means. So what I've done is I've looked up the definition of autism on the National Health Service website. So you probably heard a little bit about the NHS, possibly through mum and dad over the last few weeks. The NHS is something that we're incredibly thankful for, and the people who work for the NHS are people that we are incredibly thankful for all the time, but particularly at this time. So on their website, the website of the National Health Service, somebody asks the question, what is autism? And the definition they give is this: autistic people may act in a different way to other people. Autistic people may find it hard to communicate and interact with other people. Autistic people may find it hard to understand how other people think or feel. Autistic people may find things like bright lights or loud noises overwhelming, stressful, or uncomfortable. Autistic people may get anxious or upset about unfamiliar situations and social events. Autistic people may take longer to understand information. And autistic people may do or think the same things over and over. So if I go back to the beginning of that definition, it says autistic people may act in a different way to other people. So can I challenge you today, and it's a challenge that I'm going to set myself to think about how we consider other people's differences or each other's differences. Now, none of us are created the same. None of us are exactly the same in every way. We all have different likes and dislikes. We all have different skills, different strengths and weaknesses. We all have different appearance. We look different from one another. No two people in this world look exactly the same. Even identical twins do have differences. And we have different characters. So no two people have exactly the same personality. Things that some people find funny, other people might not find funny. Some things that people enjoy doing, other people might not enjoy doing. So can you today have a little think about how we act towards people that we see as different? Is there a child in your class, or are there more than one child in your class who you feel are different from you for whatever reason? How do you act towards those children? Do you understand? Do you care for those children? Or perhaps sometimes wrongly, do you make fun of them, or do you leave them out because they're different? And it's something that we all need to think about. It's something that children need to think about, young people need to think about, but it's also something that adults need to think about, grown-ups too. Adults in the workplace, so in their job, in families. There's even different characters and different personalities in families. So today, on National Autism Awareness Day, can we take a moment to think about how we act towards people that we see as different, how we consider them, how we understand them, and how we include them? Because autism is a condition that can lead to differences in certain ways. So we should be thinking about how we care for and understand people who have autism. But actually, it's a lot wider than that. It's a lot more far-reaching than that, because like I say, we're all different in a variety of ways. It's not just people who have autism who are different. We are all different from one another. So take that as a challenge today. Sit and think for a moment about that person who's popped into your head, who you might think, right, I see them as different, or I feel that they are different from me in certain ways. How do you act towards them? And if you can say that in the past maybe you have not included them as you should have, or perhaps haven't been as caring as you should have, or perhaps haven't been as understanding of them as you should have, make today the day that you change that attitude, change that mindset. Now, I know we're not in class at the moment. I know we're at home. A lot of us are in isolation. Some of us are quarantining, so self-isolating because of the condition of the country at the moment. But whoever you are around, try and understand their differences, whether that's a brother or sister, whether it's cousins, whether it's mum or dad. And then when we get back into class, try and ensure that you are as understanding of others as you can be, no matter what their difference is, or no matter what our difference is. Last thing from me, Google Classrooms. The teachers have been doing a lot of things on Google Classroom, setting you all sorts of different jobs, different challenges, and it has been really, really good as teachers to see children responding to that, and to see the work that's being produced, and to see the effort that's being put in at home. So if you were watching this assembly this morning and you've been on Google Classrooms and you've been completing the jobs that your teacher's been sending to you, then Diane, thank you very much. As teachers, it is lovely to see some of the work that's being produced at home. If you're one of the children who are watching this morning and you haven't been onto Google Classrooms, that's an extra challenge for me this morning, is to get onto Google Classrooms. If you need your login details for Hub, then please get in touch with the school straight away, and teachers can easily pass on login details for Hub. The same goes for Bug Club. I know teachers have sent books on Bug Club for you to read at home, so that even though you might not have a huge pile of physical books to read, there's a bank of books online for you to read. So again, if you need login details for that, then don't hesitate to get in touch with the school. But if you have your login details and you haven't been on yet, change that today. Get onto Google Classrooms and do some of the jobs and do some of the challenges that your teachers are setting for you. The teachers have worked hard to continue your education at a distance. Take the chance that the teachers are giving you. Take the chance that the school are giving you. There are children elsewhere in this world that would give anything for an education, that would give anything for a chance to go to school, anything for a chance to learn from teachers, and anything for a chance to learn new things every day. So if you have the opportunity to go on Google Classrooms and Hub and Bug Club, and perhaps you haven't taken it yet, don't waste that opportunity. There are other children that would give anything for that chance. And the more children that we have on Google Classrooms, the more children that we have on Hub, the more children that we have reading books on Bug Club, then the better we'll be getting together, the better we'll be moving forward as a school. Hope you've enjoyed the assembly. Stay safe. Au revoir. See you soon.